Nebraska clinic closes. Yeah, a clinic has already closed, knowing full well of what is coming with the big bad Republican bill.
Nebraska is probably really pissed that they voted for Trump now, huh? Because everybody that's like, no, Medicaid's not going to close clinics and Medicaid's not going to close hospitals, ask Nebraska.
And it begins. A rural hospital in Nebraska closed, citing the upcoming bill that's going to cut health care for millions. And guess who won Nebraska in the 2024 election? Trump.
Nebraska voted in large numbers for Trump, but now they are paying the price. One of their only hospitals is shutting down, and the state finances is in shambles. Why? Because of Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill.
I swear Nebraska is the poster child for fuck around and find out. Their first FAFO moment was when their farm workers were deported by ICE because they thought it wasn't going to happen to them. I mean, they voted for Trump, but they didn't think that they were going to come and deport their workers. And ICE is like, no, anyone that's brown, we're just going to deport them because whatever. So then, Nebraskan farms are like, wait, no, we need those people. Otherwise our farms are going to go bankrupt. And they're like, don't really care. So their second FAFO moment came today as soon as the House bill passed and Curtis Medical Center in Curtis, Nebraska announced that it's closing. And there are 6 other rural hospitals that are planning to close with these Medicaid cuts. And if you know anything about emergency medicine, whether it's a heart attack or a stroke or trauma, time is of the essence and distance is of the essence. So ultimately, people are going to die. And that's most likely going to be farmers, which are a huge group of Trump supporters. Now, don't get me wrong. The House of Representatives said, hey, we have a kitty. We're going to do a little bank to help rural hospitals. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tax state hospitals more. Well, that's not taxing the hospital. That's taxing the people that go to the hospital. So in one hand, they're going, oh, we're giving, we voted for this bill because we're giving tax cuts to Nebraskans, but then we're going to raise your taxes, Nebraskans, when you go to the hospital or you receive any services, right? It's all good. But I mean, that's for par for Nebraska, because in January, they were operating with a budget shortfall of $400 million. And then they passed the budget, and now they're only going to operate at a deficit of $289 million. So, it's not like anyone can do math there or run their state very well. But they seem to think Republicans are great, doing a lot for them as they run their state into the ground. Keep doing what works for you, I guess. I don't know. Fuck.
And it begins. A rural hospital in Nebraska closed, citing the upcoming bill that's going to cut health care for millions. And guess who won Nebraska in the 2024 election? Trump. So it's already hurting his supporters. It's like watching cows lining up to go to the slaughterhouse and them applauding it. Like, bro, make it make sense. It's crazy because, as long as they think it's going to hurt the others, they're okay with it. Oh, what the? I'm lost for words.
Did you all hear about the hospital in Nebraska that is going to close down because of uncertainty about funding? This is honestly super concerning, especially because this small hospital is in a remote area, and for many folks, it's the only one that's accessible to them. What we are seeing here is what many are expecting to be the first example of what the cuts to public funding are going to do to important services that people need. A lot of folks that are hearing about this, though, are not showing empathy because, in many ways, Nebraska voted for this. And in that county specifically, they voted overwhelmingly for the person that is promoting the cuts that are happening right now. Unfortunately, this is another example of folks voting against their interests, folks that were expecting that their living conditions, their livelihood was going to improve, and the opposite is happening. And listen, y'all, I understand why a lot of folks don't have empathy, but I feel bad for these folks because the system that we're living in over and over again keeps hurting the folks that are the most marginalized. But those are my thoughts, familia. I want this to be a conversation. What do you all think about this? Do you agree with what I said? Or are you on the side that doesn't feel any empathy for these folks? And if you are somebody that lives in Nebraska, what do you think about this? This is crazy.
Nebraska Hospital is already closing due to the impending Medicaid cuts. This news comes to us from Nebraska Public Media. It says Southwest Nebraska Hospital announces plans to close, blames uncertainty over funding.
Concerning over federal Medicaid funding appears to have claimed its first victim in Nebraska. Community Hospital in McCook announced Wednesday that it will close Curtis Medical Center in Curtis, winding down its operations and services over the next several months. The CEO of Community Hospital said that unfortunately this current financial environment driven by anticipated federal budget cuts to Medicaid has made it impossible for us to continue operating all of our services, many of which have faced significant financial challenges for years. Earlier this week, during a Zoom meeting put on by a multi-state organization, United Today, Stronger Tomorrow, officials estimated that up to 6 Nebraska hospitals could be forced to close if the bill passes. And we all know that bill just passed recently. And they say they have currently 6 hospitals that they feel are in a critical financial state, 3 of which are impending kind of closure and a conversion over to the rural emergency hospital model. Now, it is important to point out that Nebraska is extremely red. I don't know if they realize, but when you have towns of only 1,000 people, you can't afford to have a fully functioning hospital without somebody subsidizing it for you. So, I hate to say this, but they voted for this. But y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.
Nebraska is probably really pissed that they voted for Trump now, huh? Because everybody that's like, no, Medicaid's not going to close clinics and Medicaid's not going to close hospitals. Ask Nebraska how one of their clinics is now being closed. Why, you might ask? Because of Medicaid cuts. Because of Medicaid cuts. And that's just the first to downfall publicly. Imagine all the small ones that's going to close without the public knowing. And yes, my face is greasy because I got on sunblock because I'm about to get outside. But listen, I'm trying to tell you, it is about to get real ugly in America. Y'all just wait and see all you nurses and CNAs and LPNs and doctors. Yeah, you might want to go look for a new job because you're about to get terminated. Thanks to Trump. Go thank your president.
We have some big news right now. One of the first rural clinics, have now closed due to likely Medicaid cuts from the budget bill. Hakeem Jeffries is currently filibustering the final passage of this bill, but that hasn't stopped a clinic now in southwest Nebraska to announce that it will be closing due to financial challenges, including anticipated Medicaid cuts, according to Nebraska 8 ABC Local News. Community Hospital CEO Troy Bernst said, quote, "Unfortunately, the current financial environment driven by anticipated federal budget cuts to Medicaid has made it impossible for us to continue operating all of our services, many of which have faced significant financial challenges for years. It will now be winding down its services to this rural Nebraska community over the coming months. And as a result, many folks living in rural areas in Nebraska will now no longer have access to critical health care close by." Spread the word so more people know and follow along for more. I'll have updates all morning.
Nebraska clinic closes. Yeah, a clinic has already closed, knowing full well of what is coming with the big bad Republican bill. When it does finally pass today, it's going to devastate these clinics across the country, and people in rural areas are going to have no access to health care. It's going to be extremely difficult as hundreds of these locations across the country close. And it's happening because Republicans voted for this. Republicans did this to Americans. So you will struggle now. Millions of you will be without any health care. Millions of you will be without health care facilities to go to. You'll have to now drive out of your way some 40, 50, 60, 70 miles or more because these clinics are going to close because of the Medicaid payments. That's right. This is brought to you by Republicans.
The saddest part about all this, even after losing their hospital and their livelihood, a lot of people in Nebraska will still vote for Trump again. That's the grip of loyalty over logic. My sympathy is with those who didn't vote for all this, but they are stuck living through the consequences of other people's actions. Those people deserve better than this.